so we're ready to get started with our first step, which is the cast on. And what I'd like to do is show you a method for casting on using the long tail cast on method, but using two balls of yarn for your cast on so that you don't have to use your tail as a working yarn. And what's nice about this method is that it really allows you to cast on, and when you're knitting something with 50 plus or hundreds of stitches to cast on, you don't have to try and calculate how long your tail should be. I'm sure most of us have had the experience where we're knitting a sweater and we cast on stitches and then suddenly we realize we don't have enough tail and we're 70 stitches in, and it's very frustrating. So this is a great method to use to avoid that. So what I typically do is I'll pretend if this is the larger skein of yarn, I just wound down 2 small balls for the demo. But I usually wind down a small skein of yarn or a small ball of yarn from my larger skein and to use for just for the cast on. So you'll take the 2 balls of yarn and you'll take the strands and you're just going to basically do a slip knot. And what you'll do is you'll place that slip knot right on your needles and just tighten it, just loosely on your needle, just similar to as if you were starting your cast on. The second thing that you want to do is you want to know that, one, your tail is off to the right. We are not using that. But the secondly is that slip knot is not considered a stitch on your needle. So you actually will not be knitting that. We're going to be dropping that once we knit our row. So your second step is take the 2 working strands of yarn between your fingers, just as if you were going to perform the long tail cast on. And now go ahead and cast on the specified number of stitches per pattern. So for the demo, I'm only going to cast on 5 stitches, but you guys will go ahead and cast on the stitches for the scarf. So once you've cast on all your stitches, turn your work. And then your next step is using the strand from the smaller ball of yarn, you're going to go ahead and cut that because you obviously want to work from your larger ball of yarn. And then you'll take the working yarn and begin knitting your row. Now, you'll notice that instead of, just 1 tail, you have 3 tail ends to weave in. But again, it's such a nice way of using the long tail cast on because you don't have to try and calculate the length of your tail. So for this pattern, what we're doing is we're knitting the first stitch and we're also knitting the last stitch. And what that will give us is a really nice garter edge on our selvage. So go ahead and knit that first stitch, and then you'll purl across. And then remember, you don't want to knit this. So go ahead and knit your last stitch. And what you'll do is you'll go ahead and just drop the slip knot from your needle and then just lightly tug to pull it out. And then you're done. Turn your work and you're ready to begin your first row. And again, what's nice about this is you don't have to worry about the length of your tail. You do have 3 ends to weave in, but so much better than trying to judge and estimate how much tail to leave. So go ahead and cast on your stitches, and we'll meet you back here for a demonstration of the pattern.